Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another one of my back to school series videos. Today we're going to be talking about friends, all things friendships, being approachable, not having RBF, resting bleep face. It's a real thing and I suffer from it. If you're in the market for making some new friends, you just want to become like more social and more approachable, then here's some tips that have helped me, myself, and I think they might help you. My slogan when it comes to friends is quality over quantity, and I just want to let you guys know a little personal insight into my life. I have very few friends, like legit friends. I think I have two solid legit friends that I feel like I can rely on.
I don't need another friend. I already have two.
Honestly, like that's all I need. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that like you have to have a ton of friends in order to be happy in high school. And honestly, like if anything, you really don't need that many friends because it's less drama, that's less stress, and then you can really focus on just bettering the few friendships that you do have. So anyway, let's just get started with this video. I have like a list of advice that I've written down on my phone, and then I also asked some of you guys on Instagram what your best advice was, so we should just go over it and give it the rundown, and yeah. So some of these tips I have done myself, and then some of them I haven't, but like I feel like they'd be a really good way. So like the first tip is joining clubs. I personally am not athletic or any of that, so I've never joined any like sports or clubs, but I do know that like that is an amazing way to make friends, especially if you're interested in soccer and you join the soccer team or the chess club or whatever it may be. You're gonna find people that have that similar interest. You hit the ground running because you find something that you both have in common that you can talk about. I think it would be so fun to start like a Bob Ross painting club. Just going to places where you know that other people are also going to have the same interest as you is an amazing foundation for like a friendship, or to possibly start a friendship. Even if it's not joining clubs, but more like taking classes. So like I took art class, for example, and there was like a lot of other kids in there that really liked art, and so it's like we already had that former connection to start off that possible friendship. So tip number 2 is, let's say you're in a situation where you have started like talking to someone, you start a conversation or whatever. I feel like a lot of the times the issue with a conversation, like especially like a, what do they call it, like small talk, is that like it's just like very bland questions, very bland answers, and it's super shallow, and that's okay if it's like someone you've never really met before. But I think a really good way is to rephrase your questions. So an example of this would be like, instead of asking how's your day been, where they can respond good and then that's it, instead of doing that, just ask them more like, what made your day good today? Because then they have to actually think and come up with an answer that's going to be a lot more like lengthy instead of just that one word response. My third tip for you guys, just also like life advice in general, is like if you can overcome the fear of being rejected, like you are powerful. Like there's really no limit, because it's like if you accept the fact that rejection is completely possible and very okay, like you're going to survive it, then what's stopping you from going up and approaching that cute boy, or complimenting that new girl's outfit, or whatever it may be? Like knowing that they might not receive you in the way you want it to be, understanding that that's okay. Like you're gonna have so much more success in general because you're gonna be a lot more open to like trying a lot. My mom has always like told us this growing up, but she's like, hope for the best but like prepare for the worst. And so it's like, if you mentally prepare yourself that rejection is completely a possibility, and then you tell yourself that that's completely okay, and if anything that's gonna just help grow you as a person, then you really have no limits. Like you can go up and approach anybody you want, and know that no matter how they react, you've already mentally prepared yourself for that. I can speak from experience. Okay, tip number 4 is when you show up into your classroom. I don't know how it's gonna be this year with COVID and all that, so social distancing, but in previous times when I would walk into the classroom, and whether it was assigned seating or it was like you can choose where you sit, wherever you sit down in the classroom, do your best to start talking to those that are like directly right next to you, because most likely if that's where you're sitting, you're gonna be there for a long time. Like you're gonna be learning with them for an hour and a half every day. Because if you can learn to become friends with those around you, that class is gonna be so much more enjoyable, and then like you're already stuck with them right there for that time being in school. Like why not get to know them and possibly become friends? Okay, another tip, this one I found on Google, and I don't know if it's like legit, but they say asking for a pencil or for a pen to break the ice. I don't know if this really works that well, because normally anytime someone asks me to borrow a pen or a pencil, I'm like, okay, and then I give it to them. Like there's no conversation exchange. But I think a really good way is if you bring a pack of gum. That way if someone asks for gum, like you can be the cool person that pulls it out and you have it. And then when you give them the piece of gum, go like this. And then you say, me alone for another piece. Okay, but the thing is, like, whenever I feel like I give someone a pen or a pencil, they always forget to give it back. And I'm like, that was my last pencil. If you borrow a pencil from someone and unless they like explicitly say that you can keep it, like, do your best to give it back, because then I think that shows that you're like responsible, that you're mindful, that you're just caring, loving. You are best friend material. And I kind of mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but the quality over quantity. And what this just means is, like, don't focus on popularity or how many hallway buddies can I make, but more like focusing and devoting your time on finding genuine people that you are going to consistently have, whether it's at school, outside of school, and just throughout life in general. Having just like those few genuine friends is gonna make even just your high school experience so much better, because say you're even in a class where you don't even have that many friends, like, you know that you're looking forward to lunchtime though because you're going with your genuine friends. That makes sense, because like, what's the point of a bunch of hallway buddies at the end of the day? Like, you don't hang out with them, you don't genuinely talk to them, you don't get to know them. It's just a bunch of like highs and hellos in the hall. Okay, so my next tip is this, and it's quit waiting. I know like Avery's case is stop waiting. No, it's no more waiting. Sorry, Avery. But like, no, it's a really good tip of like, stop waiting for people to invite you to the party. Stop waiting for people to ask you to go get lunch. Stop waiting for people to initiate things, because most of the time it won't happen if you're waiting around. I really think developing that skill of like being an initiate. That sounds like a word. An initiate. Am I saying that right? But like, developing that quality as a person of being the initiator, it's gonna be the most effective for you in seeing progress of making friends, because it's in your control and in your hands. So it's like, what goes back to that, like, accept the fear of rejection, blah blah blah. Like, just go reach out to people, ask them, do you want to go to lunch? Do you want to hang out with me? Do you want to go to the football game? Do you want to whatever it may be? Because if you're always just waiting around for people to invite you, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but most of the time you won't get invited, because whether they forget or they're just not simply aware that you are like wanting that. If you know what you want, you go after that, go get it. As scary as it can be, and I know too, I'm not perfect at it in any way, shape, or form, but I do feel like I've done at least a good job for myself of making sure I'm putting myself out there, because that's the only way you can really get noticed. Because it's like, if you're just always reserved and inside you're thinking like, I wish people would invite me, it's like, no one knows that you want that because you're not putting yourself out there. Like, you're narrating your own story, so make it good, make it legit, make it so fun and awesome. Another thing is, with that whole tip, say you reach out to someone and say you go hang out and say it's a great time, but you get to a point where you feel like you're the only one ever reaching out and initiating things. Maybe take a step back, a quick pause, and kind of wait for the friend to reach out themselves, because friendships are a two-way thing, and remember that. Now, leading into my next tip, I actually saw this on Madison Mealy's story. It was like relationship advice, but I feel like this is really applicable to even just friendships. Basically, Madison Mealy is like, she's like this mommy blogger. She has this husband and a really cute kid, and she was basically asking for relationship advice, and someone said confidence is a big thing too. You've got to realize that, she's saying her partner, but like, say even your friend, confidence is a huge thing too. You've got to realize that your friend may be this really cool person, but so are you. So she was basically saying, like, in a relationship, like, you may feel like your partner's a catch, and that's why, like, you're so lucky to be with them, but like, you need to remember that they're lucky to be with you as well. That's something I feel like I need to work on a lot of the time. So my next tip is this, and for any of you guys that know what imposter syndrome is, I feel like a lot of people probably suffer from it without even realizing what it is, but it's just basically where you always undermine yourself and you always tell yourself that you're almost like not worthy of something because you're not cool enough, or you're not good enough, or smart enough, or whatever it may be. And if you try to befriend someone and they treat you as if like, I'm too cool for you, then it's like, you wouldn't even want to be their friend anyway. Like, that's not worth your time. So don't cut yourself down before you've had the chance to grow. I'm gonna put that on merch. I'm gonna make it a shirt. My next tip is being observant and being aware, because I feel like sometimes we get so concentrated like on ourselves and what's going on that we almost forget that other people are probably feeling the same way as us too. I've tried to do my best job of like noticing others, like if someone's sitting alone at lunchtime, or they're sitting alone in a classroom, or it's a group project and they look excluded, I've tried my best to make sure I make them feel included. It's more likely than not that they are probably feeling inadequate or lonely or in need of a friend, and they're just more like waiting for someone to reach out because they're too scared to do it themselves. So if you could be that person, that like relief for them, that would be awesome. I've also had times where I've gone and like invited someone to lunch and they've told me no. They're like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, like that's good. Like, at least I know that I tried and I did my part to make sure that they weren't feeling lonely or excluded. To make friends, you gotta be a friend yourself. And my last but very not least tip is being approachable yourself. I look like this all the time in my classes. Like that's like what I look like. And I even remember in the 9th grade, I had this like science class, and every single day I would like be sitting at my desk and this kid would walk in and he'd be like, why do you look so mad, Marla? And I'd be like I feel fine, like I promise. Like he would tell me this every single day, and so like I became very, not self-conscious, but more like aware of like how I look when I'm not really paying attention. And I know some people just can't help it, like myself. So just in summary for that tip, just like make sure that you're smiling more. Maybe if you, I don't know, if it's hard because I feel like most of the time you don't realize that you're looking unapproachable, but if you can just mentally just be like, try smiling more, being a little bit nicer. I think another thing's like a participating in class, like when the teacher asks a question, like maybe be the one that volunteers to speak, because then that shows that you are confident in yourself and that you are like willing to talk. I don't know, whatever it may be. But not saying that if you don't participate in class you're like not confident, but I just think that's a good way to put yourself out there. Okay, so now I'm gonna read some of the tips that you guys sent from Instagram, but one of you guys said, realizing 99% of the time people don't dislike you, they just don't know you. It's so true, because it's like, you might assume like, oh, they seem like they hate me or they don't like you, but it's like, they don't even know you, so how can you make that assumption? Being outgoing and giving compliment to strangers, honestly, like when I get a compliment from like another girl in the hall and they're like, I like your shoes, like that like makes my day so much better. And I also know it's genuine because they're not gaining anything from complimenting me, like it's literally someone I don't know. So stay away from drama and don't settle for friends. Also, you aren't a loser if you sit alone sometimes. Okay, that is such a true tip. I feel like just high schoolers in this generation in general, like if you're walking alone in the hall or you're sitting alone at lunch, it's like you're automatically go to your phone. But like, or I even have done in the past, I'll like go to text someone and I will be typing out like random gibberish, like I'm not even actually texting anything, just because I feel so socially awkward, and it's like, this is my outlet for me, like my safe haven, when in reality I feel like it's disabling me from like making like good eye contact with people or talking to someone, because I'm trying to avoid them with my phone when I'm actually not doing anything on my phone. Literally, like it's okay to be alone. So it says, don't be shy and introduce yourself to others. Like be your own introduction. Like no one asked for your introduction. You're like, my name is Myrna Hernia. Rosanne says, I don't have friends, but if I did, probably sharing the type of music you listen to. I feel like music has actually been such a good like conversation starter for me. Like if someone's wearing a shirt and it's like a band I listen to like as well, then I'll be like, oh my gosh, like you listen to blah blah blah, and they'll be like, yeah, me too. And then like you already have that like that topic starter. Invite any new kids to sit by you. They're as nervous as you are. I met my bestie this way. I think a good tip is like understanding that you're not the only one feeling this way. Like you're not the only one that's nervous, or you're not the only one that's like seeking new friendships. Like there's so many people that are thinking the same thought process as you and having the same desires as you, that like if you're putting yourself out there, I think that'll enable a lot of other people to feel the same way, and then you'll find each other. Well, I think that wraps up today's video and all things friendship talk, and I hope this helped you guys. Just remember, quality over quantity, and focus on being yourself, because what you put out is what you're gonna attract and all that good stuff. My battery's about to die, so we're gonna say goodbye, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye! So, highs and hellos and hags at the end of the school year in the yearbook. If you asked for someone to like sign your yearbook and they hit you with the hag, I was like, okay.
Hag, have a great.
No, hags. What was it? There would always be kids that like switch up their like, have a bland summer. It'd be like Habs.
That's still a blow off. Like I have no idea who you are.
I was like HAGS friend. Like no clue what my name was. Like, I just want to get this out of the way. My slogan for friends is quantity over quality. Like, the more the merrier. It doesn't matter who they are, how they act. Just, I want lots of them.
What?
Okay, go away. Go away, fat weenie boy, go. I won't get up. Get up. Don't. Get up. I need a film.
Rafi, come up here.
Get up. Get up.
Come up here,
Why would you move? Get up. I need a film. Get up. Go, move. Get up.
Come here. Come here, puppies.
Ruff, get up.